State Department finally releasing a rough estimate of how many Americans they think still remain in Afghanistan. Their number is 1,500, although we've heard it's as many as 4,000. As we've been saying all week, on this story time and time again, we find ineptitude from our leaders. We'll see what the real number is in time, I suppose. And to destroy their credibility further, the White House is trying to spin one of the most embarrassing screw-ups in American history as a massive success story. Our Secretary of State hasn't held an official press conference in 20 days. Today, he finally faced the media, giving Americans the numbers we've all been curious to hear, or at least their perception of them.
Over the past 24 hours, we've been in direct contact with approximately 500 additional Americans and provided specific instructions on how to get to the airport safely. From this list of approximately 1,000, we believe the number of Americans actively seeking assistance to leave Afghanistan is lower, likely significantly lower.
So it's 1,500, but they think it's lower. The Secretary of State suggesting there's hundreds of Americans who don't want to leave Afghanistan. I'd be very curious to meet those people. That'll likely be the excuse this administration gives when people are inevitably left behind. Oh, they just didn't want to go because they didn't come to the airport. The State Department claims they've given instructions to Americans on how to get to the airport safely. The State Department says they have agreements with the Taliban to let Americans and even Afghans through. The problem is the reality of the situation is more proof of just how naive this administration is. The Taliban is not living up to these agreements, and nobody is surprised, except maybe Antony Blinken, who quite frankly is in denial and probably just pretty angry he took this job. If you manage to make it past the Taliban checkpoints, which again is not possible for many people according to reporting on the ground, this is what the airport looks like. Doesn't this look fun? You got women begging to be let in, massive crowds pressed up against a perimeter. You got thousands of people stacked up outside, desperate to leave. A former CIA officer telling the New York Times, people should be prepared to survive up to a day in the scrum. Here are more images we're getting today. Crowds have now spilled into a nearby sewer. People walking around knee-deep in sewage, waving identity documents at soldiers in hopes of being allowed to go beyond the barbed wire. This is what it's like trying to get out of Afghanistan. Meanwhile, we're learning about Americans who are still stranded in the country. An amazing headline from the LA Times. At least 24 students, 16 parents from a San Diego area school district have been stranded in Afghanistan. The Cajon Valley Union School District says several families over summer break independently decided to go home to Afghanistan and see their extended family, perhaps for the last time, as they knew everything was changing. They were going to be back before Labor Day. The school district reportedly assisting those families and has been in contact with their Congressman, Darrell Issa. We're going to speak with Congressman Issa here in just a few minutes. But we have many young American kids who could become potential hostages of the Taliban. Could be even worse. And today, at a time when the White House and State Department are trying to show they've got their ducks in a row on this story, somehow the White House has no clue.
Do you have any more information on that, or is that
I do not. Who have recently traveled into Afghanistan?
Who are apparently stranded in Afghanistan after having traveled there. I don't know for certain that this is a
I
legit
certainly
story.
don't have additional information on that. I'm happy to take their information if there's something more detailed you have.
Kind of like taking phone numbers of people that are stranded in Afghanistan. These are the people in charge. How many more Americans are in Afghanistan that our government is just not aware of? That number 1,500? What is it really? Secretary of State Blinken today contradicted President Biden, saying there is no deadline now, apparently, on getting our people out.
There is no deadline on our work to help any remaining American citizens who decide they want to leave to do so, along with the many Afghans who have stood by us over these many years and want to leave and have been unable to do so. That effort will continue every day past August 31st.
That's not what Biden said, and that's not what the Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said just hours before.
If you're an evacuee that we can get out, we're going to continue to get you out.
On the 31st.
Right up until the end. But in those last couple of days, we're going to try to preserve as much capability as we can at the airport, as you might imagine. So in those last couple of days, we will begin to prioritize military capabilities and military resources to move out.
Yeah, the military's got to pull all their people out. So in reality, you probably don't have till the 31st. You really have probably until the end of this week to get out of Afghanistan. It's a scary thought. We'll try to get you, but we're pulling the troops out. We're pulling the equipment out. Please hurry to the airport. This is basically the statement. For an administration that wants to turn this country into effectively a welfare nanny state, they sure have high expectations for people, our people, that are stuck in Afghanistan. Hey, try to duck the Taliban, who's trying to maybe kill you and won't let you get to the airport. Try to get around a terror group, travel hundreds of miles on crooked dirt roads through Afghanistan to Kabul. Try to get to the airport then try to skip the thousands of people in line and get in there by August 31st, really probably August 29th. If you can do all that, we got you. We'll take you home. Versus here in the United States, if you're too scared to go to a voting location 3 blocks from your house, you deserve to get a mail-in ballot. Think of the difference there. That's this administration. It's priceless. Sadly, Afghanistan is how we learn just how incompetent this administration really is. Biden refusing to take questions from the media as usual, but blabbering about cybersecurity today with his vice president in Southeast Asia. At the end of the photo op, his stooges, of course, desperate to push the media out without any questions. Come on, guys, let's go. Get out of here, get out of here. NBC, though, snuck in a question and Biden actually heard it.
Thank you all very much, and thank the press for being here. We're going to go private now.
Mr. President, if Americans are still in Afghanistan after the deadline, what will you do if Americans are still there after the deadline?
They cut the mic right there. So what he's saying, he's still talking, but you can't hear it. But what you didn't hear was the exchange with Peter Alexander, the NBC correspondent. He tweeted out, I asked President Biden what he'll do if Americans are still in Afghanistan after the 8/31 deadline. His response, you'll be the first person I call, while laughing. Took no questions. That's something else. Talk about bad optics. But then again, Biden was never really good at this stuff, was he? Today, Blinken was asked if they're ready to take responsibility for this disaster which they've willfully created.
Is there anything about the shortcomings that have been so readily identified by all sorts of people that you guys are actually willing to take responsibility for yourselves?
I take responsibility. I know the president has said he takes responsibility.
Blinken seems like a nice guy. He's a puppy dog. He shouldn't be the Secretary of State, but he at least accepts responsibility. Headline from Politico, though, White House to media, we want our props on Afghanistan. That's the new spin now. They're trying to turn this into a success story. They really are. The White House, very used to a typically sycophantic media drooling over Biden's bumbling antics, wants credit for the speed of evacuating a disaster that they created. It's kind of like starting your house on fire and then wanting credit for saving your family. But there are a few painfully foolish Democrat loyalists in the media, of course, that even after all of this defend Joe Biden. Paul Waldman of the Washington Post, painful. Joe Biden is a Democratic president, which means he has to clean up a Republican's mess. He wants government to do complex things. He gets held to standards no Republican has to meet. Can you even fathom being dumb enough to believe a tweet like that, to write it? All of those things are so ridiculously untrue, it's hilarious. All the messes in this country have been started by this administration. There's two big ones right now. Afghanistan and southern border. Both self-inflicted wounds, no way around it. I don't know what Waldman's drinking over there, but give me some. Meanwhile, here's John Kirby on the state of our embassy.
I know there's no military assets guarding the embassy compound. The U.S. Embassy is operating out of Hamid Karzai International Airport.
We spent a fortune on that embassy, too, an absolute fortune. And now it's the Taliban's, vacation home. Incredibly fast, it all fell apart. So what's it going to be like with the Taliban back in charge? Well, we know the answer to that. Blinken saying today the Biden team is in contact with the Taliban every day, accepting the lies from a jihadist public relations team that swears their Neanderthal foot soldiers are following all orders and playing by rules. And our people believe it, is what's funny. We're also giving away the airport in a few days, and that's really going to end things fast. Then it truly will be a Taliban country. And finally, today, one reporter had the stomach to ask the million-dollar question, why on earth do we comply with the Taliban at all?
Why should the United States even care what the Taliban wants to be done at the airport or, frankly, anywhere else in the country?
The Taliban, whether we like it or not, is largely in control of the country.
If you need a refresher, an Afghan interpreter showed our own Eric Bowling today what the Taliban does to people who work with America.
I want our audience to understand how ruthless this Taliban people are. Your hands, show us your hands again. The Taliban did this to you.
Chopped his fingers off. Frankly, he's lucky to be alive. He's lucky to have hands, arms, a head, working with the United States from the Taliban's perspective. Tony Blinken wants the Taliban to know you don't dare abuse women, or we'll send a strongly worded statement.
I will use every diplomatic, economic, political, and assistance tool at my disposal, working closely with allies and partners who feel very much the same way, to do everything possible to uphold their basic rights.
Again, he seems like a very nice guy, but I mean, is this the guy that should be anywhere near a crisis? I mean, is this a guy that looks like he can handle anything? Meanwhile, this week, a Taliban spokesman urges women to stay home because their fighters haven't been trained to respect women yet. I mean, we are watching right now what happens when a murderous regime negotiates with people like Tony Blinken who are nervous to haggle over a used car. It's horrifying to imagine what might happen if the Taliban got their hands on those high school kids and their parents from San Diego. Can you imagine? What a bargaining chip. And what is our government going to do if they can't get these kids to the airport by the 31st of August?
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.